Okay, this is new and this is big. Big not just because we're doing this, you can finally see us. Yeah, that's exactly why, where I didn't know where to look. So after a lot of promises of saying, you can see us, we are doing videos, and but honestly, you can see us. This is the 100th episode of the Totally Indian Football Show. It took me 99 episodes to get my promise out there. And the reason why it's double the excitement and the fun, because we have a very special guest. Before I come to my guest, I have Ash by the ball, Ashish, who is going to co-host with me.
Absolute pleasure.
Ashish, how does it feel from being a guest, from a fan to a guest, and now you're going to co-host?
Oh my God, what an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Super excited for this.
That's why I said it's not scripted. He was not paid for saying that. He's excited, guys. Let me now come to our guest, because that's why the 100th episode is all the more special. And I didn't want to do it for the sake of doing it. We have had a gap of 2 months, but this is worth the wait. Sushant is here, aka Tulsidas Balaram. The reason why I say that, he was playing the role of Tulsidas Balaram, the late Tulsidas Balaram, who's a legend of Indian football, in the movie Maidaan. Sushant, thank you so much for making it, and firstly for showing interest to come on my show.
Thank you so much, because I wanted this journey of me to be told also. Even this Tulsidas Balaram sir and this movie, a lot of things had happened, like last 1 year has been good for me, and all these things happened, and then I met him, of course, on the premiere, and I got connected to him, and I thought that some football show or something is where I need to go and speak about this. And it's good that I'm here, and like I know that it's very natural out here just to speak out whatever we feel, and that makes me feel comfortable to come here and speak my journey.
Absolutely. Ashish, again, we didn't pay him to say any of that. He didn't.
No, I'm glad I could make this connect happen.
So the gift I could give him was get him on the show as well. He has a journey. He has a story about a shirt as well.
So I realized after I left my house, this is the exact same outfit that I was wearing at the Maidaan premiere when I met Sushant for the first time.
It's a special lucky shirt. Sushant, let's start this by, you're also a football freestyler. That's where your journey begins, as into football. So before we come to Maidaan, let's talk about behind the scenes, what happened, and how did you end up becoming a football freestyler?
Yeah, so firstly, I was also a footballer. Like I used to play MDFA, and in the school level, I used to play that. But my school, there was not a lot of football as such. Like, before, in Mumbai schools, usually it is like 2 days before they'll just practice and they'll go. And that is how it was. And then later when I went after like my 9th, 10th and all, I lost complete touch because there was no matches happening, nothing. But love for football is always there and something to do. So, there used to come these videos of People Are Awesome on YouTube and all, like where they used to trick shots and a lot of things they used to do.
Yeah.
So there I saw some freestyle moves, like some freestyle got featured doing those things. Then through that, surfing through YouTube, knowing what is the scope for this, like there's a lot more tricks. So I started freestyling, like juggling and then doing tricks around the world and all. And I noticed that I had shifted my focus from playing to just completely towards freestyle. And I did that for a good 1 year. And then later I know that there are people like me in Mumbai. And this happened when I went to my college and there was a freestyle competition happening. And 1 year prior to that, I've been practicing freestyle and I didn't knew that there are freestylers. I see them do. And there are people who are competing and I'm able to do like, some moves. And I was so happy. I felt like competing. So that is how the competition journey started. Like I got connected with the community. Then again, a lot of competitions were happening in Mumbai. I started competing in them. And apparently I also made it to becoming the national champion. And that was the qualifiers for world finals again. And then Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
They host this such sport. For such sports, I mean, they have been major supporters is what I feel because they had this national qualifiers and they took me, like I had never traveled international before, never had dreamed. By doing freestyle, I had not thought that I'll go somewhere. But then I won that competition and it was qualifiers for world finals, which was supposed to be conducted in Miami.
Oh, okay.
So that was my first international trip. And also it was fully sponsored by Red Bull and I had to go as an athlete.
Sweet.
So that was like a wonderful experience. Then going there, understanding various aspects of freestyle, that whole journey was fun. Then I decided to, take it like a more serious sport and I started playing professionally after that. So that is how it has been for freestyle. And
That's phenomenal. I mean, I think
Beautiful.
though you put it in one line, I'm sure the journey that took you there to get better at it. Because what's the transition like? Like, I understand to say because you play football, but then it's a craft in itself, freestyling.
Yeah.
Right? I know someone called Akshay, who I'm sure you would know
I
about
know.
him as well. So I often say that, isn't it like dancing with the ball? And he's like, no, don't say that. But that's how it looks like. You're just having fun with the ball.
I personally, when I was understanding freestyle also, and later when I now understand it, I see the emergence of freestyle. Like you go to the history and understanding. So it usually the origins are in circus also.
Okay.
So you would see someone doing something with football back in even 200 years back. You would see someone doing something with small round thing, and that is what you can see on the stage also these days, like spinning a ball or something like that. Those are not football moves as such, but those are derived from circus. So I see it as an art form. And of course, when you are competing or when you have a trick, for example, in a mind, so that requires some athletic capability. Like it needs you need to have that ability within your body to execute that artistic vision of yourself, right? So that is why, most of the freestylers would call them artistic athletes.
Yeah.
Because there's a vision out there, and then there is something which your body, you can't do a backflip, hold the ball in your leg and, do a handstand and stall the ball on your sole of the feet. So that will require imagination, of course. That is like something artistic, visually appealing to see. But it will require athletic capabilities also. So that is like a convergence of both things, I feel, like art and sport. And that is why I got more interested in freestyle, because it gives this both areas, like you have scope to explore both of them, like art for art and sport for sport also. So it doesn't limit yourself to, and again, like you said, the transition. So I was a good footballer before I was a freestyler, and after I became a freestyler, I'm terrible at football now.
I was supposed to ask you that now because do you still play, and then are you tempted to do your freestyling right in the middle of the game?
See, that's impractical. Honestly, freestyle is individual game.
Yeah.
Football is team game.
Yeah.
The more you are able to sink in with the team, the more better it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's the game. There's no individual yourself in the game is what I feel. But with this freestyle mindset, you become self-centered is what I'll accept it and agree. I hope you all will also agree, because if you notice, there's all the eyes are on the ball while you're juggling also.
Yes.
And this doesn't work in the game. Like you have to, you need to be
Football
very
is-
alert, seeing who is there, where to pass and all those things. And you're this self-centeredness towards this football. Like once you're starting to see football and football only, it becomes difficult to coordinate with other players and, do like, but the whole thing is that you'll find one cool move in a 90-minute game or something. But the contribution of a freestyler, I feel it wouldn't make it to the team as much, is what I feel. Yeah.
So I think freestyle is more of creative thinking and followed by execution.
Correct.
Art form and sport together. But football in itself is supposed to be just a very simple game where you pass the ball, you move ahead, you pass the ball, you move ahead. No fancy skills. That's
Correct.
Yeah.
playing simple football.
No fancy skills, especially outside the D. Right when you're there.
Yeah.
Just shoot.
Yeah,
And the other, I don't know if it is a good part or what, they expect freestyler to do something cool.
Yeah.
And like if we all start playing, you're a freestyler, you'll do something. And then I'm like, let me play simple first.
Yeah.
And that simplicity is not expected, first of all. And then that sets a bar different. Like then you are also tempting to, so whole of my game also, if I play with my friends and all, it will always be to, rather than making as a team, like doing a goal for the team or something, more I'll be inclined towards doing a pana.
Yeah.
Because that is what is valued from and expected also from me. So
Right.
those expectation standards of the people around you also shape how you play. I mean, is what I feel.
Yeah, as the famous saying goes, football is a simple game, but playing simple football
It's difficult.
is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very true.
What was it like in Miami? I mean, you said it's the first time you're doing an international
Yeah.
trip. And then you also now have the exposure of a larger community, right? Because the freestylers are mad across the globe.
Correct.
What was that like for you?
So, like being the only athlete from the India, so there were these countries, Scandinavian countries,
Yeah.
or even if you see Japan for that. So there were 5 athletes from Japan, like they were qualified for the world finals. And Asia, you would see like Japan and other countries only. But India, I was the only one. And rest of the countries, there were two athletes because their national standards are only high. Like the first 5 players of their country are amongst top 16 in the world.
Right.
So that I noticed that our presence as such in freestyle is not that much. And when I went there, I got to see like people coming from Ghana also, like the champion of Ghana who has been like, who's been a goon, I would say. Like he himself says that, and then how freestyle has transformed him. And then seeing some country, like maybe a Norwegian champion where, he's had a lot of privilege to practice freestyle with a lot of things sorted around him. Like may it be with finances or anything, or government taking care of these athletes in a real good manner or something like that, or even the living standards are high out there, right? So it's a privilege to have a good living standard to practice your art. And whereas this person from Ghana, and then where our context from India, where freestyle is not even seen as a sport, because it's difficult to, even I won't call it like complete sport, but while you're competing, you are an athlete and sports person only. So those things were, quite like, that was the place where I was little confused and understanding what the sport, the nature of the sport is. And I really felt that India lacked a national standard, because if you see other countries who's even vice champions, or the first person who is the national champion has set a standard for himself, being on the top 5 of the world or something, and that elevates the national standard. And I would like to relate it with Maidaan also. For example, this 1962 era, we had set a standard and still we failed.
Yeah.
So, but this other sports or any country, if you notice, it's very rare. Once the national standard is set, to fail as an athlete for that country is very difficult, because the vice champions of other countries were equally good. Even I'm Indian national champion, but the vice champion of France is far better than me, is what I would accept. Yeah. Right. So those things were there. And I feel in India also, the culture is not evolved in freestyle that much. So there's this idea of just doing what is done, like mimicking, because your sport is not evolved to a scale where you will think and create your own moves. Right. So when I went there, I saw that most of even freestyle which was done was coming from their own individuality and originality. And that is what made me feel like understand my own style. So I'm good at acrobatics, doing flips and all, and combining freestyle with flips or something like that became my style after that, is what I would say. So recognizing my style and even conversation with freestylers, how they are, taking up this sport, how they are making a living out of it. Are they even making a living out of it?
Right.
So those things got clear. Like for me also, I didn't pursue as a freestyle to make a living out of it, but to practice it. And there are some freestylers who are making living out of it. So it was complete different state to understand all these things together, and a lot of learning from that entire experience. I didn't sleep only. I don't remember sleeping for like, I spent 21 days out there, 7 days of competition, and rest days I was roaming. So I don't remember a single day sleeping. Like as such, I was so high on energy, like everywhere, just walking around, getting to know all the freestylers and all those things. So it was fun, like totally.
Great. I think now let's talk about Maidaan, right? I think we're all excited about that. I'm fresh off. We're recording this on 30th of April, and I watched the movie on 29th. So also Mumbai City goes into the finals. But going back to the movie, I think since the start of the movie, there was a buzz and we were all excited for it. I think us being, when I say all Indian football fans, are excited to see something related to Indian football up on the big screen.
Since years.
Yeah.
Since years.
I mean, you've watched sports-related movies.
Yeah.
There's nothing been like Indian football out
True.
there, right?
True.
And also mainstream Bollywood taking it up and putting up on big screen. None of us thought about that. But when we got to know even the buzz saying that, there's a movie coming out about the golden era of Indian football, and we're like, oh, okay. The kids now should watch it, or, we've only heard about it, we're all eager to watch. And then I was blessed. I mean, Dinesh Nair being the sports choreographer, shout out to him. I've worked with him. He's my ex-boss. So I've seen that journey also somewhere where he was part of it while he was training all of you guys. But now to finally see the movie, and then you are right in front of us. You played a very key role, a very important player's role, Tulsidas Balaram. Take us through the journey of how probably you were approached when you got the call. And when you got the call, what were what were the thoughts in your head? And then finally made it to the set. If you can just take us through all of that.
Yeah. So first interaction, I mean, my first like exposure for this project was as a trainer for the previous Tulsidas Balaram. There was one guy who was casted as Tulsidas Balaram, very sweet guy, and we had an good training session with him for the sequence. And then whole thing happened, and after that again, due to some circumstances, they were not able to continue with the previous Balaram. So in this happened. First interaction happened with the entire Maidaan team on 2019 September. And after that, everything, my work was done. I was off the project and everything. And after that, in 2021 Feb is when I get a call saying that we are auditioning for Balram. If you are interested, you can, give the audition, because we are looking forward. You know the character as such, and you know what this movie is about. So if you would be willing to come for the auditions, you please show up. So then I went for the auditions, because even I was this whole character. That time I had understood who Tulsidas Balaram is. Before that, I didn't knew only this. I didn't knew the fact that in 1962 we won something like this. In the standard of football was, I didn't knew. And then through that I got to know. So I went, of course, when you're working on a sequence which is supposed to be the entry sequence of Tulsidas Balaram, you'll go home and Google at least, who is. Then I went, I saw some interviews, and I was really happy, like something for him. This thing is happening, I felt. I mean, even the movie is movie, but I was really happy that these people are getting, known because of
the recognition.
Recognition is coming, and I was really happy. And I saw his interviews, and I was already flattered, this guy is a legend, because I like this feeling, when I'm getting goosebumps, because this feeling of underdog, is crazy, is what I feel. You are something, but the world doesn't know. But you are something, you are something which is huge. That person with huge potential staying in this Kolkata, a flat, 3 BHK flat alone, he stays, right? He is a bachelor. And 87-year-old bachelor staying there. And I just wanted to do as much as possible for him from my side also. So I put a lot of efforts in structuring, training that previous Balaram also, and all those I was just excited. And then I got to know that, okay, there's a possibility that I can be the face for Tulsidas Balaram. So I was happy. I went, I gave the auditions, and of course the audition was acting. And then I was like, okay, I know football little bit, freestyle I know very well, but acting is something which I really don't know. So, and they put me a costume and everything. So this, and the entire, there's this audition where that in the movie you'll see that tea, chai, biscuit scene, that is the audition. And then I don't know what to do, how to make faces. The whole script is there. In that first line is, Balaram hesitantly walks. I don't know how to walk hesitantly. What is hesitantly walk? So then I'm just curious. So I do some of the other way, I just do that. And next day is football auditions. So football auditions you had to...
Easy.
Yeah. So I did some skills and dribbles. They wanted... So Balaram was known as Pele of Asia. So first thing, if you see the style in which Brazil plays, it is mostly air balls they'll have. The dribbles will be little cool. So then accordingly, I tried to design some dribbles and just, some balls where I can take air ball or something like that. So all those things I planned and gave a video to them. And that is when I got a final call saying that I've been casted as Tulsidas Balaram.
What a feeling that must have been.
You went for the premiere.
Yeah.
And you also done thesis as in Indian football.
Correct. So this thesis that I wrote was part of my college project 2021. I interviewed Balaram sir for that on call, and that conversation still gives me the chills to this date.
Last night I was actually seeing that video only where the video where the voiceover of Balaram sir is there, right? And then that gave me goosebumps. Say right now, it's all over my...
So that was a very, very interesting or deep conversation. It was like a 10-minute phone call, I think, where he spoke about the old times and how they won things that they won without much support from the people that were supposed to help them.
Zero support, you can say. Much support, you're giving credit to the...
Yeah. So that was a very interesting, and I'm glad that I took that project on and did justice, I think, to the story. And the golden era is just one part of my thesis. And when I heard about Maidaan, I was like super, super excited to see what it would look like on screen, because I've written things about it, but I never pictured it like me watching the golden era of Indian football on screen with Ajay Devgan and with all these amazing actors. So I was very excited from the day that I knew about Maidaan to then looking at the trailer and going to the premiere finally. That was a crazy night. What can I say about it?
No, but I was really happy after meeting him right after the premiere. Because I saw they were all actors.
Of course you were happy. You knew you were coming to the show, right?
Yeah, that is one thing. But secondly, I was happy for this guy. Out of all the people out there, no? So very rarely you find someone who knows
Indian football.
the backstory of this. So even when I was in, I'm studying, so in my college also when I went, there was this one guy who I got to know that I have worked in this film, and he says that I know Tulsidas Balaram, and it gives us immense happiness, I feel, once someone knows the backstory. And this guy had a whole thesis with, like, he had got a hard copy of it, and he was showing, and I felt really nice, like a lot of these people are also, and they had got him on premiere, which is what can be, I mean, that is, these are the people who should be got, right, to see and understand what the film is. So I felt really good seeing especially him.
Yeah, and I also in the thesis I have a chapter about the Holy Trinity, where I wrote about Chuni, PK and Tulsidas, and I got all their signatures right next to the pictures. So that was a really sweet thing.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I didn't know if I hold a position to sign something which is like, I mean, of course you have played a role and all, but that is something different is what I feel. The real players we are real players, like honestly speaking, the real players are players, and to sign something, I was first confused. Are you really asking me a sign? Like what I have done, like what I have done to sign?
That's true. But I never had the chance to meet any of those real players. So meeting you guys was like it was a dream come true for me. And by the way, talking about the thesis is inspired by this book right here by the late Novi Kapadia, Barefoot to Boots. Do read that book if you haven't. It's beautiful.
Even like many of the players in Maidaan also had went through this book to understand their own characters also. So I mean, it's given in brief. I read about Tulsidas Balaram from this book and some YouTube videos. Very less material is there, first of all. And anything that adds to the literature is always good, including this book. And I would also suggest people to read his thesis also. Because it's available. He has sent me the PDF, and I also had privilege to go through it. But as much information is there, it becomes easier for people to understand. There's no literature. So right now, anyone who is contributing to literature, big ups.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Ashish, you already did that. I was supposed to do that only because the reason why we know, or even the little that we know of Indian football or the golden era of whatever is about Indian football out there is because of Novi Kapadia. We used to call him, he was known as the living encyclopedia of Indian football.
Correct.
Like you call him up at any time of the day and he would tell you, he'll have stories to tell you. Right? So I think this book that he's left us with is his blessing.
True.
With a lot of stories. I'm sure I would have loved to see his reaction watching this movie. I'm sure he would be happy with what. I'm sure he still would come up and say, "Ye tura ye tha," but I'm sure he would, because he'll be like, "Facts are facts," and I know it, But I think he would be very happy. Even he would have been happy to see something like this on the big screen. So shout out to, he's no more with us, but I think he's played such a big role when Sushant mentioned about the literature for football. He's the one who's documented it, and thanks to him. Moving on, coming back to the movie, Sushant. Ajay Devgan, I think none of us thought a big actor like him would play an Indian football coach. That's how again a big thing happened for all of us fans. Your first day shot was about the chai and biscuit thing. That's your opening sequence. After the opening sequence you have, what was it like when your one-on-one interactions with Ajay Devgan? But he's also Rahim Saab, and Rahim Saab is also one of the biggest characters in Indian football. So what was that like?
Yeah, so if you notice the entire scene also, so it has to do something which was happening to me in real also, honestly speaking. being a non-actor out there, and you'll already walk hesitantly, like so that was natural to me. It was happening throughout the day, like so that
ये तो
was,
default है.
ये तो by default मैं
I'm a
hesitantly
misfit,
बैठूंगा.
I'm a misfit here तो
और क्या, मैं मतलब चौड़ में तो नहीं आऊंगा.
True.
So that was there. Then again a little bit of course they took me through acting workshop, and that chai biscuit scene is the last day of the shoot also, like the entire schedule of Maidaan. So after everyone is left, all my team players are left, matches are being shot, and then last 3 days they had to do this sequence of that gully sequence ka shoot, and whatever was left over, patchwork and everything they had to do. And in that last day was this. And imagine the pressure was so much because I was supposed to give that shot, and throughout the entire set, because it's the last day, so everyone is gathered, you know.
Oh, okay.
So
everyone's watching.
whole of the audience is there, and my last shot is happening. Match mein jo bhi, because matches were shot in a way where it required a lot of resources, from hair, makeup se leke har ek cheez, like 22 players, then sweat dene ke liye alag 22 log. So it was a set of I don't know the number, but आराम से 300 लोग तो रहेंगे set पे. और that day in the evening I'm sitting and these people are there because it's last day. There's some celebration going to happen. So everyone is just waiting. And तो अपने आप वो hesitation ये सब तो आया ही था. And it was fun. So sitting there, then I think we got it in less takes only. Because Amit sir is a really good director. Like he would not talk much, not let anyone interrupt with the artist also. तो वो सारी चीज़ें थी. And one preparatory thing I did for this thing was, even the shot was at the evening, I dressed up at around 10 a.m. in the morning, and I was just staying next to the set. तो मैं सुबह गया, costume team थी because some other things were being shot. तो costume team से मैंने मेरा costume ले लिया, and I got dressed up in that all, you know, the t-shirt where it is a lot of stitches are there and everything. So वो सब पहन के I was roaming full day to get comfortable. And then I realized when I was going back to hotel in the afternoon to sleep, the watchman is not recognizing me and he's saying me कि अरे चलो किधर से आया हो. I'm like अरे sir मेरा keys. And then I had to show him that access card. तब जाके उन्होंने मुझे entry दी. And then I go, and then in the evening when I was coming, they water the stadium. तो वो कुछ तो चल रहा था. And so तब तक तो खत्म हो गया था, set wind up हो रहा था. Some contractor who had given this whole task of doing, that guy confused me with the guy who is supposed to water that. So whole of that, I realized that it is good, like it is happening. I am
looking very real.
Yeah, looking very real. So ऐसे ही चलते फिरते मैं चला गया, and whole of the thing happened. Like whole of the scene only got winded up.
You know, I want to ask you, Sushant, when you said that when you reached your hotel and your guard was like not letting you in, didn't you want to say that, hey, मैं Tulsidas Balaram हूँ? क्या बात कर रहे हो?
Something like that I would not want to say for that particular day because my character demanded such humbleness. Like, may it be anything, while reading and understanding Tulsidas Balaram, I had realized that he would not boast about anything at all, or even want his name to be in front. Even when I heard the direction team also speaking like what Tulsidas Balaram is, so every time they spoke that, he always spoke about Rahim Saab only. Even any of the interviews if you see on YouTube or anywhere his presence is there, he'll speak highly about those everyone other than him. So that is something which I wanted to practice, like, and for that reason only I decided to not do that.
There's also this one little anecdote that I've read about. I'm not sure if it was Chuni or PK, but one of these guys were selected for an award, Arjuna or Padma Shri.
Yeah. So
and Tulsidas' name was also there, but in the
his
end,
Padma Shri was holded back.
Yeah,
actually.
And then they selected him to present the award, and I mean, that's really sad. But he was happy to do it for Chuni or PK.
Chuni and PK both.
Okay, so that shows how, I mean, he doesn't care about
this. Is real. I feel this certain sense of absenteeism and humbleness is being practiced by individual, but it can be counterproductive for their growth also, is what I noticed. Because if you see, there's very less literature about Tulsidas Balaram sir already, and the awards which the other players have got, his equivalence to the awards is also less. The major part Padma Shri he doesn't have like the other players, equal contribution only.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, I really like such personality, and I was really grateful to play such a character because there's so much of truth in him, and I really enjoyed, like understanding his whole journey. And that, I think, even after Maidaan has reflected in me, like these core qualities of him,
have stayed back.
they stay. And like I know that when this first time I got when I was even training this previous Balram for the whole of the freestyle sequence and everything, that time just 1 month before I had won Indian National Championships. And I could see, everything I was conducting, there was certain sense of, pride and understanding that, okay, I'm something, and the way I conducted. But after this understanding Sir Tulsidas Balaram throughout, it made a entire shift in me also towards bringing more humbleness in me, is what I feel.
That's lovely. I mean, taking some values from
Beautiful.
the character, and I think that's the beauty of playing a real life character, right? You tell me a bit, maybe in short and brief, that you can say, what was the camaraderie between the players? Like, you guys are actors on set, but all of you are mostly acting for the first time, maybe apart from Madhur and a couple of them. But
No, there are a good number of actors.
Yeah.
Footballers are there. I would name like 3 good footballers.
Okay.
So first is Manandip, who has been a former striker also for the country. And there's this Amandeep Thakur and Arun Ghosh, who played, his name is Aman Munshi. So these 3, they have played for Santosh Trophy and all those. So, and there's a lot of talent, of course, in these leagues. Like we all know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And these are like really class players. So I got to learn a lot from them in terms of football. There are actors, the South Indian guys, like there's this Arumai Nigam who played.
There was,
Again, Chandrasekhar Menon who has played. Vishnu. You might have met these guys. So all these guys they're really good actors. Like they're really, I mean, I remember, so I knew that hesitant walk is there. So I went to Macha, like we call him Macha. Jayant is his name. He's playing Arumai Nigam.
Okay.
And I went to his hotel room and I said, bro, tell me how to hesitantly walk. And this guy knows acting, no? Saying, Macha, there are a lot of ways to hesitantly walk. Which one you want? I was like, there are a lot of ways. I thought there's at least one. Bro, teach me. I want to walk like this. And it was fun interaction, learning football, understanding. Some of them wanted to understand freestyle, some dribble. So it was good exchange of ideas and a lot of learning also. And like you said, to be a part of the team, initially it was for me, because all these players have been together for 3 years before me. And I was casted after the 65% film has been shot. So getting and mingling with them was a little bit task initially, because all of them had created certain bonds and everything. So, but within, like, we are all players only after all. So for players, even though they are actors, but for players, and it is really easy to, because football is there. There's one common thing is football, and there's a lot of interaction that can happen through that also. So through that I got mingled and then made
basically it's just like a football team, no? A new signing comes in and there's already a bond. Abhi ye kaun aa gaya, chalo milte hain types,
But about the camaraderie, dude, at the premiere, I was in a different hall, and then after our show ended, we went into the hall where these guys, the players, were watching. And the moment it ended, everyone they broke into tears. They were celebrating. And a little bit of like the theory show. And then after that, Slow Cheetah, PK, who played PK, he just started a random chant. And it was so
it's
good.
From the movie itself.
Yeah, it's from the movie.
So
this chant was created before, of course, I was casted. So that everyday practice, we used to follow.
That gives you goosebumps. It does.
And to be there and everyone's just crying and like hugging each other, and it's such an emotional, deep state that everyone is in. And this random chant comes out of nowhere and everyone's just following along. It feels like Team India has just come home from the 1962.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was
for
so
the team
good to see.
also. 5 years on one project, and some of them are actors, players, and everything. Even some is studying or something like that. We had to take education breaks and all, and it was a huge, like, it got prolonged. If you see, like when I was signing the contract, it was just 3 months. Like in 3 months of time, everything will be done. And then it took me more 2.5 years. And these guys also plus 3 years before them. So 5.5 years of journey.
Yeah.
That day was the when we saw like what we have created.
Yeah.
So it was a whole emotional turmoil also to be together and be together and experience all of this. Like whole journey, like 5 years is a huge thing. It's not like a small time. Every time we are off the shoot, we know that okay, there's something we are associated with, and now there's it's gone, like it's done. Like now the film is come.
Yeah.
Now we are finally free also, but that freedom, every mixed emotions all together.
Yeah.
So
it shows I mean, I've seen it, and I was lucky that I had my camera on while this chant started, and I have that on video. I keep going back to it, and I keep getting goosebumps. It really shows how much these guys are
put their effort into
everything into it, and how much it means for them that they've represented the team.
Yeah, I think I can sit here for another 5 hours, but I have a team that's keeping a check of how much I speak. Finally, I think I'm going to ask similar question. I think all of us can share something. But Sushant, for you, for having been part of the set, from your journey into the movie to seeing the big screen, what has the movie or probably the journey throughout the movie left an impact? One, you've already said that you've taken values from the role that you've played. But otherwise, how big of an impact has this movie played in your life?
So right now, amongst my people who know me and all, this new array of acting which I feel like exploring, because after the workshops and everything, last day of my shoot also, I realized that it's again like an art form only, just like freestyle and everything. And once you practice certain kind of art, like in freestyle also, there's this thing called show flow. So where you do a kind of a show which is like an act. So it can be where it's an act where you are doing a performance, but at the same time you're also showing certain emotions or sharing a story through your act, and that requires certain skill of acting also, which before I would have never thought. So I would like to bring such thing in freestyle maybe, and these are the things which I really learned, and again exploring acting. And another thing is I have also liked filming sports. So if you see, Maidaan is shot really well, and over there I remember even if I was even if I was as an actor over there, I used to go behind the camera, talk to assistant cinematographers as much as possible, how they're filming. This observation was a whole different learning. So like sitting there and observing. So sports choreography and sports direction is something which I am interested now. Acting is something which I'm interested, and this is all post film. Okay, before that it was majorly freestyle and maybe my academics. So these whole things, few things.
Yeah, and when you're building a crew, you know who to call. You two of us are right here.
Sushant went there as an actor to play Tulsidas, but he came out as an entire filmmaking.
Yeah,
it has changed, and for many, I think anywhere you be for like good amount of time, certain things you will take away.
True.
And for all the actors, if you ask, I think they will have a different journey from this.
Great. I think for you, Ashish, for someone who's probably following Indian football as a fan, and then now you also create content and also being on my show. But what is it like? You've as you mentioned, you've done thesis. You saw this movie come up on big screen. You were part of the premiere and stuff. What an impact has this movie made on you?
Firstly, I would like to mention that it's an absolute pleasure, and I'm not kidding. It's an absolute pleasure to be the first co-host that you had on this show, the 100th episode, along with Sushant. So thank you so much for that. But about the movie and about Indian football. So the reason that I started creating content on Indian football and specifically around Indian football was that it needs to be shown what Indian football was before, and the place that it's at right now does not match. I mean, it's just difficult to explain how we've come here from.
Yeah, we'll sit another 5 hours talking about that.
Okay, yeah. So I'll just keep it short. It feels great that there's been a movie about Indian football, the golden era. And I hope that this movie I know that this movie has the capability to inspire many more generations after this. But one goal that this movie I think should have is like to for a kid who's watching the movie right now, maybe that kid starts playing football because of this movie, and then I don't know, goes on to play for the national team 15 years down the line.
I would like to add just one thing which I feel even when I was freestyling, no, so the motivation factor for me was mostly movies only. So you see this Whiplash or any sort of movie you see where there's kind of obsession towards this,
Yes.
Any kind of art form, talent or sport or whatsoever. And that is a motivation bunch for, I feel, most of the teenagers or anyone who is in that zone where there's no much life. I mean, you're not thinking about this other life problems, but that time there's a huge, movies are driving force is what I feel, or even small YouTube videos or something. And this movie, again, like I said, you know, how this books add to the literature, movie add to, is adding up to this whole quota of motivation for the upcoming generations. And that is one thing, like he said, I mean, I completely agree to it.
I think for me, I've not been able to meet the players, but I must say that I have met Franco sir. And I had the pleasure of meeting him for spending time in his house for 2 hours. And I have a small note from him as well. Couldn't get on the show, but probably I'll do a whole thing, separate thing about it. And I am so blessed to have done that. The whole story behind it also, how I ended up meeting him, but another day for that. So to see the movie, and then in the end, I know this. I will give you a disclaimer saying that this has spoilers, so you better go watch the movie. In the end, there are visuals. So stay till the end if you haven't watched it yet and you plan to watch. Those are beautiful shots. It is going to overwhelm you. And for someone who's met Franco sir, to see him and he's no more. I mean, none of them are anymore, unfortunately. They've all went together. And there's another beauty about it. Their friendship, they were close. They all went in the similar period, in the time frame. They were old, yes. I think during COVID that we all lost them. But those shots are beautiful. And I think kudos to Amit, the entire team of Maidaan for doing this. Big ups to Tushar. I don't know if I don't remember the second name, but brilliant cinematography.
Yeah, Tushar Kantire.
Yeah, I think I had to give a shout out to all of them. I think thank you. I think for me, when I was watching it, there are regrets at times. You know, why am I working in football? Like things that are happening now. When I watched it, I'm like, I know this.
This is why.
I'm like, and like also like people are like, I wish I could just stand up and say, you know what, I know this is what it is. You're watching the movie, now go follow.
Yeah.
Like I was so tempted to tell everyone who I was watching, like, kal show kar rahe hum log. You know? So, but I think I hope there are a lot of other things. I think Indian football is marred with things off the ground, which is not in our control. But I hope all of us have a role to play. And I think someday things will get better. We will probably some way, if not a gold era, silver era, kuch era aata hai where we are proud again. But Sushant, thank you so much for doing this and for coming all the way. It means a lot. I may not be great to express it. But
I'm really happy that something is happening.
Yeah, you hear me rambling. That's how excited I am. So thank you so much. It means a lot.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me also.
And Ashish, क्या बोलूं अभी शो पे लेके आया
every time. No, absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Congrats on your 100th episode.
Yes, guys. Woohoo! So thank you once again for all the love, support that you guys have been showering. 2 months of gap. Sorry for that. There'll be there's an unintentional gap. Abhi shayad se intentional gap hoga. But we're gonna get back doing bigger, better things. We'll continue the storytelling. We'll continue doing this, and Humans of Indian Football, the Total Indian Football show is here to stay. Episode number 100 featuring Sushant. Thank you so much.